Who expect that this weakness bastard reveals secret hidden from century? In the forest under the moonlight and through the mist, the ghost of a man appears brandishing his sword, leaping into the air. Like melon, jump into the lake to be a watermelon. The man runs quickly, holding his sword in one hand and a small child in the other, as he escapes from a group of killers trying to harm him and the child. Suddenly, two more men with swords jump at him, ready to strike. He quickly delivers a double blow, killing them instantly, and their bodies fall to the ground covered in blood. The leader of the killers emerges, speaking in a powerful and stern voice, demanding the child be handed over. The man holding the child refuses vehemently, stating that the child has done no harm. A fourth killer suddenly appears, running after him along with the leader. As the attacker leaps to strike, calling him a damned fool, the man fiercely blocks the blow and retaliates with a fatal strike, leaving the attacker's body drenched in blood on the ground. The killer's leader, then, speaks in a chilling voice, urging him to surrender and hand over the child for peace. The leader strikes with a forceful blow meant to cut the man in half, but he defends himself strongly, holding on to the child. The force of the strike pushes him back a great distance, but he leaps forward to fight the leader of the killers fiercely. The man lands a hit on his shoulder, but the man bends, dodges, then delivers a powerful blow to the leader's chest. Amazed by the man's skill, the leader wonders how he managed to land the hit. Falling to his knees from the force of the blow, the leader looks at the ground as the man holding the child stares at him intensely. With a weak voice, the leader, bleeding out, tells him, "The ball kept getting bigger and bigger. I was wondering why, and then it hit me. It is not too late to surrender the child," calling him by name, Yomyong. Yomyong responds that he will disappear with the child to Jingjiwa and lead the rest of his life in hiding, but he begs his uncle to let him go. He steps away, and his uncle calls out loudly, "Yomyong." Yomyong turns back, saying sadly, "Please tell my father that it is better for him to believe that his grandson, Scion Yomyong, is dead." His uncle, speaking weakly, promises to try to talk to his father, Lord Jang, but wonders how Lord Jang will react to this. "I will tell him your son not know the meaning of fear." Then he continues saying, "He only know one four-letter word beginning with F." Watching him go, his uncle, holding his wounded chest, laments in pain. Yomyong leaps high into the sky, disappearing with his son. Time passes, and during winter as the snow falls, Yomyong stands in the midst of it, talking to his son. He reminisces, saying it was the first snowfall when his grandfather brought him to Yong'an village. The villagers, without hesitation, welcomed his grandfather. Perhaps it was the dried blood on his sword and clothes, or the pitiable appearance of the child in his arms. He wasn't sure. 3 years passed quickly in Yong'an village. Whenever I felt sleepy, my father would whisper the same words in my ear like a lullaby. "Dream your dream, then open it," and say, "What does a cloud wear under his raincoat? Thunderwear." Yumayong talked to his son Shion, telling him that he gave up everything in his life to win his mother's love, and then he sacrificed everything to protect him. Yumayong continued in a low, sad voice, "Even my family. And I'm not regretful about that," he added, "but it's disappointing and unexpected. I think I made a mistake and that things could have been better if I hadn't given up everything. How wonderful would it be if that could happen again? How I wish I could be an ordinary child like other kids." Whenever my father spoke about the big chestnut tree in his hometown, I could see the signs of nostalgia in his eyes. Yumayong started teaching his son the family names. He called out to him and asked, "What is your name and your father's name?" The boy replied, "My name is Cheon Yu-ok, and my father's name is Yu Myong." "And what is your mother's name?" continued Yu Myong. Cheon Yu-ok answered, "My mother's name is Suyunok." Cheon Yu-ok smiled and asked, "Did I remember them well, father?" His father hugged him happily and said, "Yes, you did. Always remember these names and never forget them." Standing in the fields, Cheon Yu-ok thought about how his father, Yu Myong, passed away less than 2 days after hugging him when he was only 4 years old. Cheon Yu-ok said to himself, "My father left me a broken house and some useless items, and the names of my father, my mother, and myself. My father's name is Yu Myong, my mother's name is Suyun-ok, and my name is Cheon Yu-ok." Cheon Yu-ok thought to himself, "I am just a beggar anyway, the son of Yu Myong and Suyun-ok. Why did my father leave so early and left me alone? Come back to me, father. They say if you make a wish when you see a shooting star, it comes true immediately, but it's all lies. Even when I look at the sky every night, my father hasn't returned. I heard someone recently moved into the village. Let's go check it out." After my father's death, The villagers took turns feeding and sheltering me. Later, I learned that they did this in exchange for my father's belongings. I also heard my father ask them to do this. When I turned 6, people started giving me chores to do. Since then, nothing was free. They would deprive me of food if I couldn't complete the small tasks. Uok returns to the village to sleep in his house, but finds the villagers gathered in front of it. One villager shouts at him saying, "You scoundrel, didn't I tell you nothing is free in this world?" He looks at him angrily, points his finger, and says, "I have already spent everything your father left to feed and take care of you, you scoundrel." Another person stands in front of the door and prevents him from entering, saying angrily, "This house is no longer yours. Go away." A third person says, "Go find another place to sleep." Uok remembers these events and says, "After being kicked out of the house, I had to share a cave with the bats and made it my home." Uok lies on the cave floor on a simple mat, looking at the bats, and says to himself, "Even here, I can't sleep because of the bats." Uok shouts at the bats, "Just because I'm sleeping in your cave doesn't mean you can talk loudly. Keep your voices down, please. Let me sleep." A bat says, "What's wrong with that man? He sleeps in my bed and doesn't like it. What a scoundrel. Does he want to fight?" Another bat says, "Forget about him and tell me. Did you know that people eat more bananas than monkeys?" "No way." "Yeah. I mean, when's the last time you saw a person eat a monkey?" Uok sits alone and abandoned on the cave floor, talking to himself. "The only ones I can yell at are these silly bats." Uok goes to the village market crowded with people. He wanders aimlessly through the market with clumsy steps. A group of children sees him and asks, "Who is that?" Another replies, "That's the Batcave beggar." "Which superhero hits home runs?" "Batman." Uok returns to them and angrily asks, "Who is the Batcave beggar, you scoundrels?" One of the boys asks, "Why are you here again, beggar?" Uok replies, "I am here to get something to eat. But tell me, why did the soccer player take so long to eat dinner?" "Because he thought he couldn't use his hands." A thought passes through Uok's mind, the strong boast of their power. The oldest boy says to him, "We have nothing for you to eat, you wretch." Another thought crosses Uok's mind. The weak spread their frustrations onto the strong. The boy asks angrily, "Are you lost, beggar?" Uok replies, "I haven't eaten anything all day." Uok thinks about his situation and says to himself, "I have become a beggar in the neighborhood." The boy attacks him and shouts, "That's your problem," while throwing a punch. Uok takes a flurry of punches all over his body and falls to the ground in pain. The boy stands over him, feeling victorious, and says, "I told you, you're lost." Uok weakly replies, "I will leave as soon as I get something to eat." They start beating him and say, "This evil man, we will finish you off today." Uok, lying on the ground protecting his face from the blows, thinks to himself, "I can endure this for now." Thoughts flood his mind. "Even if I had the strength, I couldn't fight. If I hit the neighborhood kids, the adults wouldn't remain silent." He remembers a past event and says to himself, "Just like I did one day." A woman came angrily and asked, "Why did you hit my son?" She shouted at the villagers angrily, "No one dared to give this kid anything to eat. That day I became certain. I am just an orphaned rat in the streets, and no one cares about me." The boys say to him, "Next time we catch you, we'll tear you apart, you lowly scoundrel." They leave him and walk away, happy with what they did to him. Uok, sad and brushing the dirt off his clothes, says, "Even if you didn't say that, I would someday leave. And that will happen once I can defend myself." Uok walks through the empty village streets. Suddenly, he sees two children. The older one waves at him. They are the younger sister Shionga and her older brother Jonak. Uok thinks to himself, "These must be the children who recently moved in." Jonak speaks to him kindly and asks, "Do you live in this village? I am Jonak. Do you want to be my friend?" Uok looks at him in disbelief and says, "I am Uauk, but I'm a beggar. Is that okay?" Jonak replies, "As our mother said, judging people by their appearance alone is not right." Shionga jokes, "This Appa looks better than you, Hyung." Uok asks, "Really? Do you want to be friends with me, even though I am a beggar?" Jonak welcomes him warmly and says, "Yes, of course, I want to." Uok says, "All right, let's be friends then." Uok remembers this event and says, "That day I made my first real friend." Uok walks with Jonak and his sister Shionga in the village streets, and people see them. A group of children wonders, why is Jonak playing with that beggar? Doesn't Shionga hate beggars? One of the kids suggests, "What do you think about scolding Jonak for this?" Another replies, "Are you crazy? Jonak's mother is the daughter of a noble. If you scold him, your father might kill you. That's not a good idea." He continues, "Anyway, I still don't like that beggar kid." Jonak says, "Uok, do you want me to teach you the letters?" Uok responds happily, "Really?" Jonak says, "Yes, really." Shionga adds, "Jonak, you know a lot of letters." Uok says excitedly, "I will learn. Please, Teach me. Jonak replies, then let's go to the riverbank. There you can write on the sand. They all go to the riverside. Jonak says, first, why did the Blue Jay get in trouble at school for tweeting on a test? Jonak says, let's start with your name. Yu-Auk says, my name is Cheon Yu-Auk. Jonak replies, tell me the names of your father and mother too. Yu-Auk says, my father's name is Chon Yu-Myong, and my mother's name is Yun-Ak. Jonak writes the names in the sand and asks, do you understand? As Yu-Auk looks at his parents' names, tears well up in his eyes. Chon Yu-Myong, So Yun-Auk, he whispers, overwhelmed. Jonak explains, so, this is Yu-Auk's father's name, and his mother's name. With tears of joy, Yu-Auk says, thank you. Xiongga observes, Hyung, he is crying. Yu-Auk reflects, that day, I learned 9 letters. It was the day I learned how to write for the first time in my life, the day my eyes opened to a new world. Later, Yu-Auk returns to the cave where the bats look at him in astonishment, wondering what this crazy person is doing. He begins writing the names on the cave wall. Cheon Yu-Myong, So Yun-Auk. Cheon Yu-Auk. These are my parents and my name, he declares proudly. One bat, surprised, exclaims, a beggar knows the letters? But answer me this. Which school teachers have the greenest thumbs? The kindergarten teachers. Yu-Auk thinks to himself, I can do anything for Jonak and Xiongga, even if it's something dangerous. A year later, the 3 of them walk happily through the village. Suddenly, a group of children appears and calls out to Yu-Auk. Can we talk to you for a moment? Jonak asks, what happened? One of the children replies, it's about Yu-Auk, not you, Jonak. Yu-Auk tells them, go on, I'm listening. The leader of the group sneers, this boy is still as arrogant as ever. Yu-Auk responds, did you come just to tell me that? The leader continues, the kids were saying, you're good at throwing punches. I don't fight, Yu-Auk replies firmly. The leader shrugs, it's okay, I'll allow it today. Yu-Auk stands protectively in front of Jonak and Xiongga, saying, if you need to talk, come to me. Don't mess with Jonak and Xiongga. Hey Xiongga, the leader taunts, don't play with this beggar. Come and play with us. Xiongga defiantly replies, no, I'll play with Yu-Auk Oppa. Mayong scratches his head and says to Yu-Auk, do you know why you deserve to be hit? Yu-Auk replies with a smirk, as a scarecrow, people say I'm outstanding in my field. But hey, it's in my pants. Remembering the past mistreatment, he thinks to himself, those bastards, I'll kick their asses all. Mayong smirks. We heard you've become good at fighting. Can you hit me now? Yu-Auk mocks him. I won't just hit you. I'll do more than that. I'll do something else that starts with the letter F. One of the gang members chimes in. This boy only listens if you hit him. Myung, clenching his fists in preparation for the fight, says, okay then, I guess I'll have to beat him severely. Without warning, Myung attacks, landing a strong punch on Yu-Auk. The blow hits him square in the face, causing blood to drip from his nose and pushing him back forcefully. Jonak cries out in panic, calling for Yu-Auk. His sister, trembling, asks, Appa! What should we do? I'm scared! Yu-Auk signals them to stay put, saying in a strong, decisive voice, don't interfere. I'll handle this myself. He thinks to himself, I must succeed this time in beating him. Success is like being pregnant. Everyone says congratulations, but nobody knows how many times you got messed up. Myung attacks again, aiming a punch at Yu-Auk's face. Yu-Auk dodges and blocks the punch with his arms. Yu-Auk, this bastard has really become skilled, one of the children observes. Myung then targets Yu-Auk's leg with another punch. One child laughs. No matter how strong Yu-Auk is, he can't beat Myung, who learned martial arts from the Black Tiger Sect. Myung sneers. When I told you to hit me with some punches, I was mocking you. I allowed it. Don't you agree with that, you jerk? Yu-Auk thinks to himself, just endure the pain. If I wait, the right opportunity to hit this jerk's backside will come. Finally, the moment he's been waiting for arrives. Myung raises his fist to deliver a crushing blow to Yu-Auk's face. In a split second, Yu-Auk ducks, dodging the punch, and clenches his fist to deliver a devastating uppercut. Yu-Auk lands the knockout punch on Myung, just like Clay did in boxing. The punch sends Myung reeling backward, blood pouring from his nose. The impact is so strong that he falls to the ground, unable to get up. Yu-Auk rushes to him, sitting on top of him and delivering a series of powerful punches that smash Myung's face, causing blood to flow from his mouth and nose. Myung's friends rush to defend him, shouting, Stop! You bastard! Yu-Auk grabs Myung by the neck with one hand and picks up a large stone with the other. He raises the stone high while holding Myung, who is powerless to resist. Stop, you bastards! Didn't I say I'd beat your asses badly? Yu-Auk shouts at Myung's friends. They stand frozen, terrified of him, unsure of what to do. If you come any closer, I'll smash Do Myung's skull, Yuok continues in a terrifying voice. Do Myung, trembling, pleads, Yuok, please have mercy on me. Yuok, raising the stone high, threatens, if you dare touch me again, or Jonak, or his sister, I'll do something that starts with the letter F to you, and you'll see if I can really smash your head. Jonak rushes forward saying, Yuok, please stop. The lesson you've taught him is enough. Stop it now. Remember these words forever. Don't forget what happened today for the rest of your life. Always remember me, you bastard, Yuok warns. Do Myung shaking responds, I understand perfectly what you're saying, but please have mercy on me. Yuok stands up and throws the stone onto the ground next to Do Myung. Finally victorious, he stands tall over his defeated enemies. He leaves Do Myung and returns to his friends, Jonak and his sister. Are you surprised by what I did? You haven't seen anything yet. Let me tell you something. If there's anybody here this afternoon feeling nervous, apprehensive, and queasy at the thought of what lies ahead, it's probably because you've just married Do Myung. Let's get out of here. I'm tired of these bastards, he adds. Jonak agrees. Okay, let's go. Cheong happily exclaims, I thought you would win, Appa! Everyone moves toward Jonak's house. Once there, Jonak turns to Yuok and says, I want to tell you something. Do you know that I feel something strange towards you now? Yuok? Yuok feels a pang of sadness and replies, I don't know why, but it seems like others are always cautious of me, even though I haven't done anything. Memories flash through Yuok's mind, and he reflects, I don't know when it started, but I began to feel it, and since then, things started to change. He continues to himself, I haven't trained my body in any special way or done anything drastic, but my strength has noticeably increased, and my movements have become faster. Yuok turns to Jonak and says, the strangest thing is that I can sense danger that others can't see. Jonak replies, if that's true, it seems you were born with extraordinary senses and maybe even superpowers. Astonished, Yuok asks, I have superpowers? Me? Yes, Jonak confirms. I read about this in a book once. I can't remember the title, but it mentions something like that. Yuok wonders, is that a good thing? Am I okay, Jonak? Reassure me. Yes, don't worry. It's an advantage, not a disadvantage. It's a special ability that makes you unique, Jonak assures him. But why do the villagers treat me like I'm a ghost and avoid me? Yuok asks. He continues, I overheard them saying I can foresee strange things like a shaman and that I live in a bat cave, possibly possessed by a bat ghost. They say, why should we keep someone possessed by ghosts in the village? Jonak laughs. Ha ha ha! What nonsense! They don't know anything. They're a bunch of fools. Why would Yuok be possessed by a ghost? Cheong adds happily, Jonak, my brother, is always right. He knows everything. Yuok agrees. That's right. Jonak is likely right about this. He adds, Jonak is really smart. Reflecting on that time, Yuok thinks, I didn't understand what it meant to have superpowers or what this ability was. I was just happy to have these powers, knowing they could protect me and my friends. As memories flood back, he recalls a hot June day when the dry fields cracked like turtle shells, and the village looked ghostly with dying trees and falling leaves. Yuok remembers, one night, the sky filled with thunder and lightning, and it began to rain. The villagers joyfully shouted, It's raining! The rain is coming! Children danced in the rain, exclaiming, Great, thank you, Creator, for sending the rain. But as the heavy rain poured down throughout the night, Yuok looked up at the sky with concern. He thought, it's raining too heavily. This is dangerous. The rain will destroy the village. Worrying about Jonak, he reasoned, Jonak's house is on higher ground. He might be safe. The rain transformed the village streets into rivers, and Yuok felt a strange heaviness, sensing that something dangerous was about to happen, similar to when he sensed danger before. Yuok decided to warn the villagers of the impending danger and ran swiftly toward the village, determined. I will do it, he declared. The water flowed through the village streets like torrents. As he sprinted through, he shouted, The situation is dangerous. People living in low areas should move to higher ground to avoid drowning. The water is very heavy and will cause flooding. Inside his house, one villager asked his wife, What is that lunatic saying? It's been a long time since he came to the village, and now he's talking madness. His wife replied, What a crazy scoundrel! Who does he think he is to say this? Does he think he's the village protector? Nah. Yuok stood in the middle of the village, drenched by the heavy rain, shouting warnings, but no one responded, as if he were a madman. When the villagers ignored him, he began calling them by name. Mrs. Jin, the situation is dangerous. Move to a higher place to save your life. One villager shouted back, You Scoundrel! What is this disturbance? Your voice is too loud and noisy. Another added, if you have nothing to do, go to sleep. You lunatic. We can't sleep because of your noise. Feeling frustrated, Yuok left them and ran toward Jonak's house, thinking, Jonak's house is in a high location. It should be safe, right? When he arrived at Jonak's house, he looked at it and said, this place is indeed high, but why do I still not feel at ease? He knocked vigorously on the door, calling out, it's me, Yuok! Open the door. Disheartened, he realized no one answered. It seems they can't hear me because of the heavy rain, he thought. Moving away from Jonak's house, he tried to reassure himself. The house is in a high place, so it should be okay. Yet, he continued to reason with himself. With this heavy rain and the lightning strikes, the rain will continue falling for a long time, and it's cold too. I need to find a place to shelter from the rain and the cold. As lightning flashed and rain poured heavily throughout the night, Yuok felt a growing sense of urgency. The villagers finally realized the danger Yuok had warned them about. One villager shouted, it's a flood! The river has overflowed! Hurry and escape! Save your lives! Panic ensued as villagers rushed into the streets, trying to escape. They fell into the floodwaters, calling for help and shouting, ah! Save me! The flood swept away villagers of all ages. Yuok ran toward Jonak and Cheong's house, calling their names repeatedly. The floodwaters forcefully entered Jonak's house, even at a high level. Inside, Jonak's mother clung to a pillar in the middle of the house, yelling, hurry! Jonak! Take Cheong and run! Save yourselves! Jonak, holding his sister tightly, cried out, Mother! With tears streaming down her face, their mother replied, don't worry about me. I'll be fine. You and your sister go first. Just hurry and escape quickly, she urged. Jonak shouted back, no, mother, I won't leave without you. With tears in her eyes, their mother cried, did I raise you both to die with me? Are you going to let your younger sister die with you, you miserable boy? The house began to collapse, and parts of it fell on their mother. Jonak and Cheong watched helplessly, tears streaming down their faces, as large wooden beams crashed down, causing her head to bleed profusely. Her body disappeared beneath the rubble, leaving only a small part of her face visible. In a weak voice, she told Jonak, hurry, go! As the floodwaters rose, the part of the house where their mother was disappeared beneath the debris, and she drowned. Jonak stood holding his sister in the upper part of the house, unsure of what to do as the chaos unfolded around them. The floodwaters surrounded Jonak and Cheong as they stood amidst the rising waters, screaming for help. Suddenly, Yuok burst through one of the windows, grabbing a pillar and shouting, Jonak! After several difficult attempts, Yuok managed to grab Jonak's hand. He pulled Jonak and Cheong through the rushing waters, urging, follow me quickly, Jonak! If we delay any longer, the waters will engulf us, and we won't be able to escape. Jonak wept over his mother's death, frozen in grief and unable to move. Yuok urged him, get a hold of yourself. If the currents sweep you away, you and Cheong will die and join your mother. Yuok exclaimed, it was a miracle we got out of there, but we still need to climb higher because the waters are rising. The three of them reached the ground and collapsed from exhaustion, resting for a moment. Jonak and his sister Cheong sat on the ground in shock, crying for their mother, repeating, Mother, Mother! Yuok said, I'm sorry. I should have come earlier. When I first arrived, I kept knocking, but no one answered. I should have waited longer and knocked harder until you opened the door. As morning came, the rain stopped and the sun shone on the waterlogged land. The extent of the destruction caused by the heavy rains was evident in the village, with water still flowing through its streets. Villagers sat on the ground, mourning their losses, some weeping for lost children, crying out, come back, my son, while others lamented mothers or spouses, saying, come back, my beloved. Yuok sat and looked at the scene, saying, all who died have gone to the sky. We all must die one day and go to heaven, even if we live long lives. He reflected, I have learned 6 lessons from this life. You should be old enough to realize this. Most people never understand these lessons until they're 40. 1. Life is 100% better when no one knows anything about you. 2. You shouldn't take advice from people who are not where you want to be in life. 3. Everyone will show you who they are. Just give them time. 4. You need to be smart enough to create your own opportunities. Don't wait for them to come to you. 5. The secret of happiness is freedom. The secret of freedom is courage. In life, you must take action if you want to experience freedom. 6. You will always have problems. You will always have some sort of conflict in your life. You must learn to enjoy life while solving them. There is beauty in everything we experience. You just need to adjust your perception. You can either cry in the storm or dance in the rain. He continued his thoughts. Anyway, it doesn't matter, for I have no father or mother, and no one cares for me. I am alone. No, I have friends I care about, Jonok and Cheong. But what should I do about Jonok and Cheong? How can I help them? They have become homeless like me, with no place to stay. Suddenly, Yu-Ok looked toward Cheong and saw her on the verge of falling into the water. He screamed her name, Cheong. He continued shouting, Cheong has fallen into the river. Yu-Ok saw her struggling against the current, crying and clinging to a weak tree branch that was about to break. Yu-Ok ran quickly to save Cheong, calling her name. He spotted some villagers gathered, looking at Cheong in panic. One villager exclaimed, "Oh no! How did this happen?" Yu-Ok yelled at one of the men standing there. "Why are you just standing there doing nothing?" The man replied, "The river's current is very strong. I'm afraid if I try to save her, the water will sweep me away, and we will both drown." Another person added, "I can't go down there. I hurt my leg and can't save her." Yu-Ok shouted, "Give me that rope! I'll do it! I will save her!" Just then, Jonok arrived and saw Yu-Ok wrapping the rope around his arm. "What are you doing?" Jonok asked. "Don't worry, I'm an excellent swimmer," Yu-Ok replied. Without hesitation, Yu-Ok jumped into the water with the rope tied around his arm to save Cheong before she drowned. "I must save her. I can do it," he repeated to himself as he swam. Yu-Ok reached a tree branch close to Cheong and grabbed it, thinking, "I am doing this to repay my friend Jonok. I cannot live without them." Cheong clung tightly to the branch, whispering, "Everything will be all right." Suddenly, the tree branch began to break. Cheong gripped the branch in horror as it tore. Yu-Ok watched in panic and shouted, "No!" Cheong screamed, "Yu-Ok Appa! I'm scared! Save me! Please!" Yu-Ok reached out his hand, but she was too frightened to let go of the branch. "Grab my hand, you coward!" he yelled. "I am not a coward. Don't say that, Yu-Ok," Cheong replied. "Then reach out your hand quickly, brave girl," he urged. At the last moment, Yu-Ok grabbed Cheong's hand just as the branch broke, telling her, "Don't worry. Everything will be all right." He hugged Cheong tightly to protect her from falling into the water. "You are safe now," he reassured her. Yu-Ok tied the rope around his waist, holding Cheong close, and shouted to the villagers on the shore, "Pull the rope quickly." Yu-Ok held onto a tree branch as the villagers pulled Cheong to safety, saying, "Take care." Suddenly, a tree trunk hit Yu-Ok's back, pushing him into the water. Cheong saw this and screamed, Jonok quickly tied a rope around his waist and shouted, "Wait, Yu-Ok! I'm coming to save you!" Yu-Ok struggled against the raging waves, shouting, "Stop! Don't come here! It's dangerous! You'll get yourself killed!" Ignoring his warning, Jonok jumped into the water to save his friend. On the riverbank, an elderly man watched the scene unfold from a carriage. With a dignified appearance, he remarked, "These are amazing children indeed." Jonok succeeded in rescuing Yu-Ok and brought him to the shore, exhausted and unable to move. It became clear that the dignified man was none other than Elder Jang Chunji, the leader of the sovereign heavenly sect, accompanied by a man named Bong Baek. Jang Chunji said to the driver, "Teg-un, I almost regretted not listening to your advice and insisting on taking this route." Turning to Bong Baek, he asked, "Which of the two children do you prefer?" Bong Baek replied, "Do you mean the first child?" Jang Chun then ordered Teg-un, "Bring the children to me. Bring the girl too. We are taking them to the sovereign heavenly sect," he added. Taegyun listened to Jang Chun's orders, then jumped high to execute the command. Cheong ran toward her brother Jonok and Yu-Ok, crying, "Oppa!" Yu-Ok cradled Jonok's head and patted it gently, saying, "Why did you recklessly jump into the river, you fool?" Jonok responded happily, "I did it because you are my friend. That's what friends do for each other." Suddenly, Taegyun landed in front of them. They looked at him in astonishment, wondering who he was. Without warning, Taegyun swiftly shot arrows from his hand toward them. Each of the three received an arrow directly in the chest, and the tranquilizer effect caused them to fall unconscious immediately. Taegyun carried the three children on his shoulder and moved swiftly back to the carriage. He jumped high while carrying them and landed on the carriage, placing them inside as if nothing had happened. The carriage, now carrying the children, moved towards the headquarters of the Sovereign Heavenly Sect. The Heavenly Sovereign Sect uses a massive palace as their headquarters. Inside the palace, the leader of the sect sits in his office, which boasts a huge library. The leader sits in his chair, looking dignified, while one of his followers bows before him. The leader asks, "Did the great elder bring the three children?" The man replies, "Yes, sir. The mission was completed successfully, and the three children are in a safe place." The leader asks again, "What news do you have? Is everything all right?" The man reports, "First, one of the children is very well educated. We were amazed when he wrote his full name correctly in the register, and his handwriting was surprisingly neat for his age." The leader, surprised, remarks, Is that so? He seems to think deeply about the fate of Jonak after learning he is well educated. The man suggested to the leader, "We could include them in our White Lotus army." The leader, still deep in thought, asked, "Where are they now?" The man replied, "The 3 children are waiting for their registration in the lifetime register to complete so they can join the Heavenly Sovereign Sect." Thoughtfully, the leader said, "If one of them is truly exceptional, we cannot hand him over to the Grand Master of the sect." He continued, "If what you say is true, this child is indeed talented and special. It wouldn't be bad to consider him as Jongmu's successor." Meanwhile, Yu-Ok began to wake up as the effects of the drug wore off. He suddenly sat up in bed, confused about how he got there. "Where am I?" he wondered aloud. Looking around the room, he saw a person kneeling and staring at him. Recognizing the man, that's the same person who was in the carriage. He recalled being in the carriage with Jonak and his sister Chiong, all paralyzed by the drug. Yu-Ok thought to himself, there were 2 men, one older and looking like a leader. Struggling to sit up, he asked, "Who are you and who is this man?" The leader replied, "My name is Jang Chunji, and I am the leader of the Heavenly Sovereign Sect. This man is Bong Baek." Jang Chunji continued, "Bong Baek will take care of you from now on and will be responsible for you." Yu-Ok thought in amazement. He remembered his days of living alone and his hardships, telling himself, "Just getting through each day without problems was hard, and I considered a day without sickness to be good luck." Yu-Ok recalled his daily worry. Who will take care of me if something bad happens? Looking at Bong Baek, he thought, he seems unable to speak, but that's not something to be concerned about. As the drug's effect lingered, Yu-Ok repeated, "Unable to speak?" So, he concluded, "We have a long way to go anyway, so rest now and sleep." Suddenly, Yu-Ok woke up and looked at himself in surprise, realizing it wasn't a dream. He heard Bong Baek humming and turned toward him. Yu-Ok thought, Bong Baek can't speak, so he communicates this way. Bong Baek gestured for Yu-Ok to get up from the bed and come to him. Yu-Ok moved from the bed, shifting the blanket, and headed toward Bong Baek. Surprised to find himself unclothed, Yu-Ok exclaimed, "My clothes?" Blushing with embarrassment, he felt shy standing naked in front of Bong Baek. Bong Baek looked at Yu-Ok with a piercing gaze and muttered some incomprehensible words. Yu-Ok sits on the bed, frozen by the awkwardness of the moment. Bong Baek turns away and heads for the door. Quickly, Yu-Ok gets dressed and catches up, introducing himself. "My name is Yu-Ok, and my family name is Chun." He notices that Bong Baek isn't kneeling, but is instead using a stump to walk. Curious, asks, "Did you bring me here to work? Do you have a task for me?" He adds, "If there's something you want me to do, just let me know." Okay, then requests Bong Baek to free Jonak and Cheong, but keep him instead. Bong Baek gestures, indicating he didn't bring Yu-Ok here for work. Surprised, Yu-Ok asks, "You didn't bring me here to work?" Bong Baek gestures and inquires, "Do you know how to read?" Yu-Ok replies, "I know a little. I learned from Jonak." When Bong Baek asks how much he learned, Yu-Ok explains, "I can read regular books, but tough ones are hard." Bong Baek motions for him to get dressed and follow him, signaling that he can leave now. They walk out of the palace and through the village streets. Yu-Ok observes Bong Baek's walking style, thinking, Bong Baek shakes a bit while walking, but he moves well. He wonders about his own walking and glances down at his feet. As they pass a group of village men, "Looks like these 2 idiots are getting along." Another comments, "I haven't seen that kid in the village before." A man shouts, "Hey, Bong Baek, is this your son?" The second man adds sarcastically, "I heard you got beaten up badly too. Is he really your son?" Yu-Ok accidentally bumps into Bong Baek and gasps, "I'm sorry, Bong Baek, I didn't mean to do that." Bong Baek continues walking without a word. They arrive at the Grand Elder's Hall, where an old man greets them at the entrance. The old man asks Yu-Ok, "Do you know who I am and where you are?" Yu-Ok replies, "No, I don't know anything," thinking, what kind of question is that? How am I supposed to know? The old man then asks, "Do you want to become incredibly powerful?" Eagerly, Yu-Ok responds, "Of course. I've lived as a beggar my whole life." He wonders, can someone like me really become strong? Excited, Yu-Ok asks, "How can I gain strength?" The old man answers, "What can you do for me if I grant you this strength, Jang Chun?" Yu-Ok inquires, "What do you want me to do? How can I earn your help to gain strength?" The old man states, "When I ask you to do something, you will do it." Bong Baek interjects, "Are you planning to take him on as your personal disciple? I recommend him. He's a lovable child." Yu-Ok eagerly adds, "It's a person's duty to repay what they receive. If the elder wants me to do anything, I will do it without hesitation." The old man warns, "To gain strength, you'll endure extreme pain, and you may die. Are you aware of that? What's your opinion? Can you do it?" Yu-Ok responds confidently, "Don't Don't worry about me. My entire life has been like this. He reflects on his daily struggles against hunger, loneliness, and pain, remembering how he was alone until Jonak's family arrived in the village 3 years ago. He thinks, I might die, so what? I've always lived like this. Others might find it surprising, but I don't. With excitement, Oki tells the old man, yes, I can do it. Even if the path is tough, I can handle it. If I can gain strength and live the life I've always wanted by doing this, then I'll do it. As Uok leaves the hall with Bong Baek, they encounter 3 elders. One elder, Old Gong, laughs. Hey, is this the big man that Tai Day brought this time? Bong Baek responds, yes, that's right. The second elder, Old Seo, jokes, this boy would be perfect for cleaning the courtyard, don't you think? The third elder, Old Sheol, adds, this boy's bones seem very strong. Bong Baek retorts, I was the one who chose him. Don't be greedy. Turning to Uok, Bong Baek says, let's get out of here. But as they try to leave, the 3 elders block Uok's way. He says to them, please excuse me, I need to go. The 3 elders continue to joke as Bong Baek and Uok prepare to leave. One elder remarks, sigh, if you teach him how to use a knife, he could easily catch a fox cub. The second elder adds, despite his age, his fists are quite large. The last elder comments, Bong Baek's sword will serve you better than a knife. Bong Baek and Uok arrive at the training room. Bong Baek says, if you want to learn martial arts under my guidance, you should not learn from the 3 sages. Uok responds eagerly, yes, understood. He then asks, but how should I address you? Bong Baek replies, call me whatever you want. Uok enthusiastically says, all right then. For now, I'll call you Grandpa Bong Baek. Bong Baek quickly responds, I'd prefer if you called me sir. I don't like the word grandpa. Uok feels happy, thinking, Bong Baek seems friendlier than he looks, but he still seems strange. He then asks, but where did Jonak and Cheong go? Bong Baek replies, I heard that members of the Cheon G1 family visited them early this morning. Those kids might have gone to the White Lotus family. Uok asks, the White Lotus family? Is it a safe place? Bong Baek explains, the White Lotus family is a lineage that grows to become military officers working under the Heavenly Sovereign Sect. They can be considered one of the 3 main forces of the Heavenly Sovereign Sect. Excited by the news, Uok says, if they have been chosen as military officers, that's great news. He thinks about his friends, reflecting, Jonak is smart, so he will be well received, and Cheong, what a beautiful girl she is. 3 days later, early in the morning, Bong Baek calls for Uok. They head to a mountainous area and start climbing. Bong Baek instructs, you need to sync your steps with your breathing. It will make the climb a little easier. Surprised, Uok asks, sync my steps with my breathing? Oh, like swimming? Impressed by Uok's quick understanding, Bong Baek thinks, Uok picked it up immediately. My choice to bring him wasn't a coincidence. He's executed the cloud drift technique perfectly. Uok continues to climb behind Bong Baek. Finally reaching the top, he stands, catching his breath, and exclaims, what a magnificent view it is from up here. He turns to Bong Baek cheerfully, saying, it's amazing. I feel like the whole world is at my feet. Bong Baek instructs, from now on, after breakfast, you will climb this mountain once a day. Starting the next day, Uok climbs the mountain alone every day. On the first day, he struggles and climbs slowly. By the second day, he moves faster, and by the 10th day, he climbs with energy and strength, finding it much easier. Bong Baek observes Uok as he completes his daily climbs. Uok remarks, now, climbing the mountain once takes me half a day. Bong Baek responds, from now on, you will climb the mountain twice a day, starting tomorrow. Shocked, Uok exclaims, excuse me? What did you say? You want me to climb twice in a row? Bong Baek explains, to endure the 10 hells training, you must be able to climb the mountain at least 3 times a day. To gain strength from the Heavenly Sovereign Sect, you must first pass the 10 hells training. That's why I'm building your fundamental endurance. He thinks to himself, this boy is impressive. Who knew he still had so much strength left? After his daily training, Uok, feeling exhausted, says, after climbing twice in a row, my legs are trembling badly. While walking through the palace, he encounters Old Gong, one of the 3 elders. Old Gong says, hello! Who said your martial arts would improve just by climbing and descending the mountain? Uok replies, because Bong Baek said so, I must do it. Old Gong insists, stop and listen to me. Just then, Old Seo arrives, greeting, hello Gong, what are you doing here now? Old Gong responds, what do you mean? Uok climbed the mountain and returned today, so I wanted to tell him he's doing a great job. Old Seo cunningly retorts, if you're meddling here, I won't let you off the hook. Old Gong leaves, grumbling, this coward is angry because he got caught sneaking around more than 3 times. Old Seo had attempted to sneak into Yu-Ok's room 3 times and had been caught by Bong Baek. After failing, he tried to block Gong and Cheol's access to Yu-Ok. Bong Baek proudly states, "I won't let others take what's not theirs." The next day marks 3 months since Yu-Ok entered the Heavenly Sovereign Valley. Bong Baek says, "Let's go now, Yu-Ok." Surprised, Yu-Ok asks, "Is today the 10 Hells Day?" Bong Baek confirms, "Yes. Starting today, you will train in the 10 Hells. It might take about 5 years. If you don't want to do it, speak up now." Eagerly, Yu-Ok replies, "Don't worry about that. I'm ready." Bong Baek sighs with relief at Yu-Ok's determination. He continues, "If you've made your decision, come with me now." As they start moving, they pass the 3 elders. Yu-Ok greets them, saying, "Excuse me, I'll be back later." The 3 elders respond mockingly. Old Seo says, "Yes, come back alive." Old Gong adds, "If it's too hard, just leave and don't come back." Old Cheol grumbles, "Is there anything special there anyway?" Yu-Ok follows Bong Baek out of the palace toward the 10 Hells training ground. Bong Baek asks, "What is your final opinion? Are you really sure about doing this?" Yu-Ok replies, "It's no big deal, as long as I don't die, right?" Bong Baek leads Yu-Ok to the entrance of a cave that leads to the 10 Hells training. He tells Yu-Ok to enter without fear and explains that he will find a door to open, with the password being the name Cheon-Yuk. Without hesitation, Yu-Ok enters the cave. Suddenly, a voice asks for his name. Yu-Ok replies, "My name is Cheon-Yuk. I'm 10 years old. My trainer is Bong Baek." The voice warns, "If you enter, you won't be able to leave as you wish. If you're not afraid of death, open the door and come in." Standing before the door, Yu-Ok exclaims, "Oh my, it's so huge, but I'll open it anyway." He pushes the door open and steps into a large hall lit by torches, wondering, "Is this hell?" Yu-Ok notices many stairs and descends. At the bottom, he sees a group of children dressed like him. Each child introduces themselves, and among them is Jonak, Yu-Ok's old friend. They run to each other happily, and Yu-Ok asks how Jonak and his sister Cheong are doing. Jonak replies that he's fine, and that his adoptive father treats him well. He adds that Cheong plays so much she even forgot Yu-Oki's name. Yu-Oki promises to scold her when he sees her. Suddenly, a strong voice booms from Professor Yoon-Geo Myung. "Stop! That's enough! No more talking." He then asks Yu-Ok, "What's your name?" Yu-Ok quickly answers, "My name is Cheon-Yuk." Professor Yoon-Geo Myung continues sternly, "From now on, don't speak without permission. Understand?" Yu-Ok replies, "Yes." Another person appears with a bag and hands it to Professor Yoon-Geo Myung, who distributes its contents to the children. He gives each child an iron ball and announces, "I am Yoon-Geo Myung, one of the 3 professors among the 10 professors of the 10 Hell departments. You have received the Mountain Guardian's poison. You won't be able to use your inner power until you pass through the 3rd gate." The children look worried and scared at Professor Yoon-Geo Myung's words about the mountain poison and the inability to use their inner power. Professor Yoon-Geo Myung shouts with a thunderous voice, "Be quiet!" He then continues, "Professor Jeo-Do, please explain the 10 gates of hell." Professor Jeo-Do responds, "The 2nd gate is for basic fitness. If you pass the 4th gate, you become a regular soldier. Passing the 5th gate qualifies you for the elite squad. If you pass the 6th gate, you become a junior executive officer leading 10 subordinates." He adds, "Passing the 7th and 8th gates makes you a mid-level executive officer leading 100 people." A girl asks, "What about passing the 9th or 10th gates? Why didn't you mention those?" Professor Jeo-Do replies, "Only 2 people have passed the 9th gate in 30 years, and no one has passed the 10th gate, so I don't know about those." The children exchange surprised and amazed glances at this revelation. Professor Jeo-Do tells the children, "You will be part of Group 88. Welcome to the 10 Hells." He instructs them, "Follow me," and begins to move. Professor Yoon-Geo Myung gestures to a hall door, saying, "This is the entrance to the 1st hall." Then, Professor Jeo-Do shouts, "What are you doing, Group 88? Run behind your professors!" The children immediately start running. Yu-Ok reflects, there was a good reason for calling the training center Hell. It wasn't just physical training, it was training to hunt people. Yu-Ok continues, recalling, "We even had to eat during training, sometimes while running and sometimes even in the water." He remembers how, when they became lazy, Jeo-Do would splash water on them, shouting, "Get up!" If they didn't rise quickly due to exhaustion, he would hit them hard, yelling, "You weaklings! You can't even handle the first level of the 10 hells." Uok runs fast after Geodu hits him. Geodo then asks, "Cheon Uok, what's wrong?" He wonders if Uok can truly survive this way. As he runs, Uok thinks, "I can't lose to this man, Geodo." He continues the grueling training even as the other children collapse from exhaustion. After 10 days, Uo is bullied by older kids who trip him and laugh as he rolls on the ground. Standing up to his bullies, he picks up a rock and says, "Let's take turns hitting each other with this rock." He then strikes his own head hard with the rock until blood flows, saying, "Like this." He hands them the rock and asks, "Do you want to try too?" The boys glance at each other nervously, muttering, "This kid is crazy." Uok looks at the rock and hits his head again, even harder. The boys look shocked by what Uok just did. He throws the rock behind him and bends down to pick up a bigger one, saying, "This rock looks better. This stone is too dull, so it doesn't hurt much." Uok then looks at one of the children and asks, "What about you? Will you do it?" The child backs away in fear, replying, "No." Uok responds, "If you're not gonna do it, step aside. We still have to run for another hour." The boys quickly turn and start running, saying, Okay, we're busy too." Jonak asks, "Why did you hit your own head instead of hitting them?" Uok replies, "Are you asking because you don't know? There are people targeting me. If I had hit them, it would have caused trouble, right?" Jonak tears a piece of his clothing and says, "For now, bandage your head before Geodu goes crazy." Suddenly, Geodu appears from the darkness, sternly asking, "What's happening? Why are you gathering here?" Uok says, "Nothing. I just tripped and hit my head on the ground." As they start to get up, Uok adds, "Okay, let's run again. We might starve if we're late." A year passes, and Professor Geodo stands, announcing in his strong voice, "Battalion 88, starting tomorrow, we will train at the second gate." Uok remembers the training in the second hall, noting that physical training was basic in both halls, but the methods differed. Trainees had to wear iron rings on their wrists and ankles, and as they got used to them, one more ring was added each time. The training involved climbing a big rock while wearing 2 rings on each hand. The rings were very heavy, and Uok felt like he would die trying to climb the rock with them. One child says to Uok, "Brother Yu, at least you're strong. I have no strength, so why did they give me 3 iron rings?" Uok replies, "Shut up. If you have the energy to complain, climb faster." Another boy adds, "These men are killing us with this training. Those who didn't train in martial arts like us have gained 12 times their weight." A third boy responds, "Aren't you ashamed? Why are you comparing yourself to someone who doesn't even look human?" Uok encourages, "We're close to the top. If we're late compared to other groups, we'll have to climb again before eating." One boy asks, "Is this still okay? This is impossible." Finally, one boy reaches the top where Professor Myung is standing. The professor pushes the boy from the top, making him fall back into the lake below the rock. He sarcastically says, "Those who still have energy can go back down again." Professor Myung then pushes everyone one by one into the lake, and the whole team falls in. Uok emerges from the water, looks up at Professor Myung and declares, "Just wait and see. We'll return the pain." One of the boys suddenly realizes someone is missing and says worriedly, "What? Where's Myung?" Everyone looks around in surprise at Myung's disappearance. Uok says firmly, "Guys, climb the slope. I'll go into the water and check." Jonak replies, "Be careful, Uok." Uok dives to the bottom of the lake and is surprised to find a net underwater. He wonders why he can't see anything beneath the surface and why there's a net in this place. Uok thinks to himself, "This net was placed to prevent trainees from falling too deep." He discovers a hole in the net, realizing it seems someone fell through it. "I need to go down a bit more and take a look," he tells himself. Uok passes through the net and continues diving until he reaches the plants at the bottom. There he finds an iron ball hidden among the plants. He examines the ball, wondering, "What's this? Should I clean it a little?" Amazed by the ball, he thinks, "Is it shiny? Where is all this light coming from?" In the light of the ball, he spots Myung, unconscious and about to drown. Uok puts the ball between his teeth, carries Myung, and begins to rise to the surface. When he reaches the surface, he takes a deep breath after holding his breath for so long, but he accidentally swallows the ball. The other children cheer as Uok returns with Myung. Uok shouts to Jinyuki, "Go quickly and call Mr. Song J.O.Do." Jinyuki quickly replies, "Okay." Uok starts trying to save Myung by pressing on his chest to expel the water. Professor Myung arrives and shouts, "What are you waiting for? Forget this man and continue climbing the slope." Myung coughs up water and starts to regain consciousness. In a fit of anger, Professor Myung kicks Uok hard in the chest, sending him crashing against the rock in pain. The children shout in protest, "We're trying to save our friend. Don't be so harsh on Uok." Uok stands up and says to Professor Yoongeo Myung, "If you want us to climb now, we'll climb. But first, please let Mr. Song Jae-do come to see Ho Myung, and then we'll climb." Professor Yoongeo Myung sternly tells the children, "Take Ho Myung inside with you." He then turns to Uok and adds, "Instead, you'll climb for your comrades' share too." Uok replies, "If you say so, I'll do it." Professor Yoongeo Myung angrily says, "What are you saying, you wretch?" Uok responds, "If it's for my friends, I'll do it." He begins climbing to the first, second, and third levels, biting his lips hard until they bleed. He tells himself, "I'll never give up. It's nothing. I can do it as much as I want." As a result, Uok swallows the iron ball with his blood, and it travels down to his stomach. The ball starts reacting with his blood, causing his body to heat up. Uok screams loudly and falls from the rock into the lake again. Jonak sees what's happening and shouts, "Uok!" Uok falls unconscious and Jonak pulls him out of the lake. As he starts to regain consciousness, Uok hears voices around him and wonders, "Who's this?" He remembers, "Oh right, it's Jonak's voice and someone else's. Song Byung-bo, one of the 3 lords of hell." Uok opens his eyes to see Jonak and Professor Song Byung-bo. Jonak asks, "Can you see me? Am I visible to you?" Okay, filled with joy and tears in his eyes, laughs and says, "You saved me again. Thank you." Meanwhile, Elder Baekrigan Yang sits with Commander Baekri Jongmo in the office, reviewing the children's training progress and evaluations. Elder Baekrigan Yang remarks, "Time flies. 3 years have already passed." He asks Commander Baekri Jongmo, "So how was it?" Commander Baekri Jongmo replies, "I passed by the 3rd hall today, and without their knowledge, things are being arranged around 2 children." Elder Baekrigan Yang asks, "Which of the 2 children do you favor more?" Commander Baekri Jongmo points to Uok and says, "This one." Elder Baekrigan Yang notes, "It seems you favor the child named Cheon Uok more." Commander Baekri Jongmo explains, "The number of followers is equal for both children, but the problem lies in which children follow them." Elder Baekrigan Yang inquires, "How so?" Commander Baekri Jongmo replies, "The children who follow Cheon Uok follow him blindly without question." Elder Baekrigan Yang says, really, and asks, "Should I leave him alone?" He continues, "First, let him be. Test him with your instincts and intuition. If you still think this won't work, then we'll deal with him." Commander Baekri Jongmo asks, "Are you thinking of using the secret passage to the 7th room?" Elder Baekrigan Yang replies, "Shouldn't we use what we know?" Leader Yang Hanmong waits for the Heavenly King's messenger. When he arrives, he greets him, "It's been a long time. How are you?" He then asks, "What happened? You must be very busy with Heavenly King Daejeon's work, yet you came to visit an old man like me." The messenger immediately responds, "The Heavenly King wants to see you." Yang Hanmong replies, "See me?" and laughs, "Ha ha ha, this must be something huge if this man is looking for me." The messenger tells him, "The Heavenly King mentioned the past and emphasized that I should tell you he regrets it." Yang Hanmong responds in surprise, "Regrets?" He continues, "It's not that I couldn't guess why he contacted me, but time has already passed. I'm old now." Then Yang Hanmong's eyes flash as he says, "Really, he's the strongest among us, and this is just your view, while I, Yang Hanmong, am confined here in prison." Background. In the past, the Heavenly King forcefully sealed the Supreme King's authority for 2 generations. Leader Yang Hanmong continues, "Besides, it's been over 30 years since I was imprisoned here. Who would listen to me now? If the Heavenly King's spirit is with you, who dares to stop Elder Tita's will? This situation won't change just because I move. The only way to preserve the law is to re-establish the fallen heavenly law." The messenger replies, "I'll pass these words to the Heavenly King as they are." Yang Hanmong warns him, "Keep in mind, if these words lose their original meaning, the Heavenly King will no longer be the Heavenly King." The messenger bows to leave, saying, "I'll keep this in mind." He exits the hall. Yang Hanmong calls for Bong Baek. Bong Baek arrives immediately and asks, "Is you okay all right?" Yang Hanmong replies, "Although I told you not to worry about that man, don't you get tired of asking the same question?" Bong Baek responds, "Recently my stomach hasn't been feeling well, but it's not serious. Just a little discomfort." Yang Hanmong says, "I need to go see the Heavenly King." Bong Baek replies, "Finally you'll move after all these years." Yang Hanmong corrects him, "Not me, but you." Bong Baek asks, "Is there a problem?" Yang Hanmong responds, "No problem. Just go meet Mo Yun and tell him my message. Don't act crazy and observe quietly." Uok stands on a hilltop looking at his companions. One of them asks, "Do you feel all right?" Uok replies, "I'm fine." But the truth is, he wasn't fine. Pain came to him every night like a nightmare, excruciating. as if his flesh would tear and his heart would burst. The pain hit him about twice a month, each time several times more intense than usual because of that bead. UOK continues, but every time I felt the pain, my body was overflowing with energy. No one knew this truth. He jokes with Jonak. Will you also join the officer training, Jonak? But happiness doesn't show on Jonak's face. UOK reflects on a past event. Something happened that he didn't know about before entering Samjo in training when someone came looking for Jonak. Since then, things changed forever. He looked at Jonak in amazement and thought, it seems something is happening. Jonak's face looks better when he smiles. UOK asks one of the boys, what about the others? Where are they? The boy replies, they're waiting in front of the 4th hall. UOK says, huh? Then let's go to them quickly. A boy from the group asks, are we leaving the Lin family behind? UOK thinks to himself, no one has seen Lin Dongshan since Chen Yuyu fell from the cliff. He continues, but when entering the 3rd hall, where one trains their senses, I saw him again. UOK remembers that because Sang Yusang was large in size, he had to endure more hardships than others in that training hall. Professor Yungeo Myung was training him very intensively. But we still can't do anything with our own strength. Do that later. Right now, worry about passing the officer test. He looks at the test gate and adds, I think I won't be able to meet you for a while. He explains, at this stage, all officers are divided into 5 groups. UOK tells Jonak, see you later. Jonak replies, I hope I achieve my goal. If it's you, UOK, on your way to achieving your goal, I believe you can do it. Take care of yourself. UOK responds, yes, you too, thank you. As the team members head toward the gate, UOK tells Jonak, now you should also enter the training hall. The 4th hall training consists of thrusting, cutting, stabbing, and walking. This simple description summarizes all the explanations. Jonak practices thrusting on a tree trunk. The instructor hits Jonak hard, shouting, you fool! Can't you thrust properly? Your thrust is only the size of a pea or a bean. Jonak looks at him angrily, thinking, if this was the martial arts master student, I'm sure I'd thrust correctly into his behind. A boy performs a powerful thrust, splitting the trunk in half. The instructor shouts, what's wrong with these kids? They draw a line thicker than their thumb, but what will they do if they get cut next to it? He then falls to the ground in pain after receiving a strong blow to his stomach from the teacher's stick. The teacher yells at the team, gather in a circle, now! He mocks one boy, Jimmy, is your finger only half? Did you eat everything and leave only bones? Another boy walks in a stagger from fear. The teacher kicks him hard in the stomach, saying, unbelievable! They're joking with me. Even if I asked for frogs, they'd be better than you. Why are you staggering? Were you drinking? He gives instructions. Turn forward, turn backward, turn around yourself all day. Are you still staggering? A girl in the team stands tired from training. The instructor sees her and hits her with the stick, making her fall. He says to her, you there, who fell on the ground? Don't even bother getting up. I'll make sure you never get up again. She replies, I was just running, don't you see? I never fall. You scoundrel. The instructor then tells you, okay, you there, from now on, cover one eye and fight. You okay looks at him angrily. The instructor says, what are you looking at? Should I pluck out one eye for you now? You okay firmly replies, fine, I'll cover it if you want. Then he thinks to himself, but in return, I'll pluck out one of your eyes someday. Just wait. He remembers the training and reflects. The martial arts masters invented all kinds of excuses to torture us. If we made a mistake, they'd beat us every day under the guise of strengthening our mental flexibility and muscles. They always chose the parts that hadn't been hit. At the same time, Yu Ok and the others had to memorize principles engraved on the wall. One would say, the content is trivial, there's nothing to see in it. Another would say, maybe it's better to learn something else. A third would add, I've mastered the principles of martial arts, so learning anything else is pointless. A fourth tells you, okay, you should learn something else too. Don't waste your time on something useless like this. But Yuok doesn't listen to them and continues to look at the wall and read what's on it. One teacher says, there were those who thought it was a secret technique for immortality. Another replies, but I've never seen anyone master it for more than 10 days. Maybe 2 weeks or so? Okay thinks to himself, I must master this to stay alive. I don't know the principles like the others. Suddenly, he feels a terrible pain in his stomach and says to himself, when the pain takes over, he continues, memorizing the principles eases the pain, so I had to learn them, whether they were useful or not. Ease the pain to survive. After 1 month, after 2 months, after 6 months, the instructor finishes their training and says, "Do you think we beat you because we hate you? Do you understand now? Pass through the main gate safely." Another instructor adds, "That's right, we beat you for your own good. Be grateful to us later. When you reach high positions, don't pretend you don't know us." The team members look at them angrily without responding. The 3 instructors are surprised by their reaction and laugh. As the team moves to leave and cross the gate, the largest boy says, "You scoundrels, just because I'm bigger than the others, you always hit me harder than the rest. Remember my words. I've memorized all your faces, and I won't ignore them." One of the boys tells him, "Being huge here is a sin to them." The big boy replies, "When will I be able to break that skinny man's bones forever?" The girl asks, "Why? Is it because you received a few extra hits from him?" Yu okay jokes, "No, you wanted me to take those hits, right?" Then Yu-Ok asks himself, "Did Jonak enter the 5th gate first?" He continues to think about Jonak's situation. But why has Jonak changed so much? Well, I'll understand when we meet later. They approach the 5th gate, where someone stands ready to guide them. When they reach him, he says, "Once you enter, you'll find many caves. Regardless of which cave you choose, the martial arts are the same in all of them. Only one person enters each cave. Do you have any questions?" "None." "Good. Then enter. I won't let those who forget their friends when they rise in rank get away with it. Don't act like you don't know us when you become a captain. You all, hurry inside." Once the door closes, food slips through a small hole, and the oil for the lanterns is filled through narrow pipes. For 6 months, the door stays shut, and you must survive solely on martial arts. There are 3 types of martial arts: swordsmanship, knife skills, and fist techniques. 6 months later, while others had already mastered their skills before even entering, Gunak had learned the martial arts of Cheon Giwan. Meanwhile, I had only skimmed the basics, but here, I was witnessing martial arts for the first time. If the skills from the 4th and 5th gates connect, maybe I could learn the 6th gate too. If that's true, I'll master them all. As I dedicated myself to training, I heard a voice. Who is it? Is it the martial arts instructor from the 5th gate? Yu-Ok watches as instructor Odong Myung raises his massive sword. The instructor speaks again. Are you ready? Remember, 10 strikes. Use only what you've learned here. Yu-Ok nods, determination etched on his face. He tells himself, I've trained hard for this. I can do it. I must do it. As Odong Myung prepares to strike, Yu-Ok focuses intensely, ready to react. Yu-Ok thinks to himself, I thought it was strange that the 4th gate's teacher seemed odd and tortured me more than others. Sometimes he showed killing intent. I didn't know why. The instructor says firmly, let's begin. Yu-Ok replies, all right, I don't know what you're hoping for, but the instructor lunges at him saying, if you want, I'll get you. Yu-Ok charges at the instructor, shouting and brandishing his sword. He delivers a powerful strike, but the instructor blocks it effortlessly. Odong Myung counters with a blow that sends Yu-Ok flying back a great distance. The instructor says, it seems you know why we've been watching you. Yu-Ok responds in surprise. Watching me? By whom? The instructor replies firmly, well, you've made your first strike. You still have 9 strikes left. Yu-Ok charges at the instructor like lightning, delivering a swift strike, but the instructor immediately blocks it again. Undeterred, Yu-Ok tries again, rushing at him while shouting loudly, but the instructor surprises him and wounds him in the side. The instructor then aims a strike at Yu-Ok, attempting to split him in half, but Yu-Ok blocks it just in time. However, the instructor delivers a powerful blow that sends Yu-Ok crashing to the ground, his sword slipping from his grasp. Frustrated, Yu-Ok lies on the ground, looking up at the instructor, feeling defeated and unable to overcome him.